Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters of the Week video. Thought I would mix one of these in while I'm wrapping up the latest Mafia and Gangsters series. And then once that's done, I'm probably going to go back and do a new series of Cryptids and Monsters based on your new suggestions. So be on the lookout for that coming soon. This entry, this random page, has to do with a cryptid that is actually very similar to a famous Batman villain. Those of you that follow the Batman world, the Batman comics, like I do, know that one of his, not famous, but one of his rogues within his family of villains has to do with the Man Bat. That's a creature that is basically a human-sized bat that has humanoid characteristics, or is larger in some cases, depending on the artist, than a human itself. And has plagued and it has used his powers to essentially cause a lot of damage to Batman throughout the years. Tragic figure as well, and it was prominently featured, especially within the Batman animated series. But yes, this one has to do with a very similarly tied creature. You're looking at it now. It's known as the Olitiau. Hope I'm saying that correctly, but at least that's how it's spelled phonetically. And in essence, all it is, it's a gigantic bat. It's a flying, gigantic bat. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the information associated with this mysterious creature, because apparently, though it plagues certain parts of the world, there's still very little information, let alone, like, let's say, photographic or video proof of it. So what is this Olitiau? Well, again, in essence, if you take just your average bat, those ugly looking things that have that face that could just start nightmares, even though of course they are obviously like very helpful to the ecosystem, and they are actually quite marvelous to look at from afar, like when you see them in those giant swarms. Having one up close, though, that's a whole different story. If you take one of those, though, and you make it much larger, in this case at the size of a human at least, or in other cases even larger than itself, than your average person, that's what you have here. It basically has those same characteristics, like it has the same type of ears, the same type of face, the wings as well, and then I guess in some versions of it, it has more than the lines of human-sized legs as opposed to a regular smaller version of bat legs. But yes, and this is at least its notoriety is basically just your larger bat. In fact, its wingspan seems to be up to 6 to 12 feet long, so pretty large. If you were to spread those wings from tip to tip, in this case 12 feet, that's not something to laugh about. And as far as their body itself, it has the usual fur that's normally associated with a bat. In some cases, it being just jet black, just completely, absolutely black, which would be a perfect way for it to blend within the night skyline, and in other versions of it, it either being dark brown or dark red. And then also, with regards to its mouth, it has this jaw with these teeth on it. In some cases, these teeth have been noted as being 2 inches long, so definitely something perfect for its attacks. It's a predator, it's on the hunt, and so when it comes down to swoop and then take out its target, it can use those jaws and especially the teeth within them to cause some great damage. But as far as where this thing is located, you would have to go yet again to the Congo in order to find its location there. I've done several other cryptids that have notable, in this case, locations there. Also, Zimbabwe has that as well. The Republic of Cameroon is supposed to have some of these creatures there too. Basically, this thing, this Olitiau, just stays within the caves or maybe even the forest within those locations, just like most other bats. If you've seen those wonderful geographic videos that showcase these bats, and they're all just millions of them hiding within a cave, hanging upside down from the top of it. Imagine something like that, but probably smaller numbers, of course. But imagine something like that for the Olitiau and then its clan, and you could see how we could live within those caves, basically undisturbed, because who's going to go in those caves other than people basically that are not supposed to be there. But yes, this thing, it lives in those caves. It comes out at night, and then so much so that the locals there represent it as a name, in this case the Olitiau, which is something along the lines of a mishmash of two different words, Ole and Nitya, which are supposed to be ceremonial dance masks representing demons. So it tells you the idea of what these locals think of this Olitiau. Like in this case, they view it as a monster, something in terms of a demon, something that comes out at night, not necessarily to do good things, but bad things. And so they probably steer clear from any known location of this creature and make absolutely certain that they do not disturb it. Interestingly enough, it was featured in Secret Saturdays, that very famous show, and it's supposed to be in another area there. I'm sorry, Lost Tapes. It was featured in that show, Lost Tapes, and within there, it's supposed to be within the Tora Bora caves there in Afghanistan. So maybe out there in the desert, that does have another known location there. It was also featured in Secret Saturdays within a video game. And then also, there's supposed to be another game, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, that points to the existence of this creature. But the only known sighting, though, happened, I believe, back in 1932. And this was by a person by the name of Ivan T. Sanderson. He stated he was there, I think in that same location within the Republic of Congo, and when he was there, him and another person saw this thing, this Olitiau, swoop down upon him and that other person. That person's name was Gerald Russell, and this was along some kind of mountain stream there. It swooped down, tried to grab one of them, at least according to his story, but it failed at doing so. Maybe they were able to drive it off with whatever type of weapons they have, maybe a machete or some type of gun. But either way, this thing actually actively hunted them, and then it swooped down. Can you imagine that sight? So these bats, they are expert flyers, absolutely some of the best out there. And so all it has to do is use its sonar or radar to home in on its target, and then just clip its wings downward, and then that's it. It'll swoop down like the missile that it is, and then take out its target and then bring it back. So imagine something like this, where this thing was hunting this pair, and it was completely out of sight up until the last moment, until they saw, of course, that this thing was suddenly coming right at them. It scared them so much, in fact, that this guy, Ivan T. Sanderson, called it the granddaddy of all bats, and it seems to be the most famous sighting associated with this creature. But that's pretty much it. There hasn't been any other stuff in terms of known encounters or other more recent ones as well. Other than the fact that if you happen to go there to the Congo area, the Republic of Congo, maybe somewhere again towards Zimbabwe, somewhere along those lines, and you happen to be near caves, maybe mountain streams, or some kind of course, a lot of the foresty areas there, if you hear that swooshing sound or maybe the little clicking sounds that bats are known to make, then there's a good chance that you'll be running into this creature. By the way, one other interesting note, it seems like this creature has either been identified or misinterpreted as a long-lost dinosaur. In this case, either the pterosaur or the pterodactyl. So a lot of sightings there in the Congo of those particular cryptids, people may have inadvertently been pointing to this one. Quite rare. I can't recall of another cryptid where it was being misidentified as yet another cryptid. And in those cases, the ones that I've mentioned in the past happens to be more on the lines of real-life animals. But in this case, no. If we're talking about dinosaurs and other type of mysterious creatures, then here you have a perfect situation of a cryptid being misinterpreted as yet another long lost cryptid too. So, but if anyone else has any more information, anything else I might have missed, please post those comments below. Anybody been there to Central Africa recently? Friends, maybe other travelers out there that have been there, have more stories tied to this Olitiau? If so, please post those comments below. That'd be really great to hear. Definitely, this would not be a creature I would want to find flying above me out there in this world. Anybody who has who travels, especially here in Texas, you'll see those giant vultures that just migrate and just fly around, watching and waiting for the roadkill to show up along the long stretches of Texas highway. So seeing those ugly things out there in the sky and their gigantic wingspan, imagine something even larger than that. No, thank you. I would not want to be anywhere near this Olitiau. Here in Austin, we have the those millions of bats that are there by the downtown bridge, very famous touristy spot, for example. And again, beautiful sight if you wanted to see it from afar. But imagine having something like this, a swarm of these coming right at you. That's a whole different story. So again, that's why I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this particular cryptid. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.